Hi. We're talking about Chanukah.
Part 2.
Yeah. So
we actually get it.
It's a question.
Can we start?
Yeah, we just did. Look. Can we just elaborate more on Hashmonim and how they were punished for
Yeah. The question we ended with last time when we spoke about the history of Hanukkah was basically the whole, as we see many times over in Jewish history, the entire Hanukkah miracle and the entire Hanukkah salvation was temporary and passed relatively quickly from the scene. And in fact, the Hashmonaim themselves, most of them became Sadducees. They became members of the Sadducee sect, meaning that they were no longer what we would regard as a part of our Torah true Judaism. So in fact, as
the Greeks win as well.
What?
How did the Greeks win?
What do you mean how the Greeks win?
You said that the Greeks won for the Hanukkah.
No, because Hashmonaim were eradicated. The Ramban said, the Ramban in Bereshis attributes their eradication to the fact that they usurped the kingship inappropriately because they were not from the tribe of Yehuda, they were from the tribe of Levi. They weren't supposed to become kings. But even if that's not the case, in fact, the fact is that they were the entire Hashmonai line was eradicated. Herod married the last girl from the house of the Hashmonaim, and that girl died. She was killed by Herod, and the many Jews, many members of the household had previously died in civil wars between rival pretenders to the throne within the Hashmonai camp. So basically, the entire Hashmonai clan of Kohanim was eliminated, right? Though they were eliminated physically, spiritually they seem to have become Hellenized themselves, right? And the miracle of the oil does not seem to be a sufficient basis to make a yontif, because we have many miracles which occur in Jewish history. Well, we don't make a yontif because of the miracle which took place. There has to be something besides the miracle itself. So what was the lasting impact of Chanukah? What are we celebrating today? Also, there's another issue which I want to bring up, which is the Gemara says in Masechet Shabbos, which talks about Chanukah, says that they made Chanukah Yontif L'Shana Acheres, another year, not the first year, when they celebrated the victory. But the next year they made a celebration during these 8 days. And the question is why they waited a year to make the celebration. So the Sfarim say that the reason they waited a year is because when the rabbis make a yontif, even a rabbinic yontif, and obviously it's true about a Torah yontif, but a rabbinic yontif instills a certain quality of holiness within the calendar. Meaning, this day has a unique quality, which therefore requires certain observances to be held. It's not that we required observances to be held, and that made the day unique, but rather the day's unique nature is what requires the observances to be held. That's why the Chazon Ish was very much opposed to setting up a fast day in commemoration of the Holocaust. Now, without getting into the merits of the case itself, but his point was that by even instituting a fast day, a day of mourning, you are tampering with the calendar, with the Jewish calendar. And you can't tamper with the Jewish calendar unless there is some sort of specific spirit which permeates that day, which is recognized by the sages of the period as having been manifest on that day. The example which I always give is there is this modern Israeli observance, I shouldn't call it a holiday, modern Israeli observance of Yom HaShoah. Who knows what Yom HaShoah is? Holocaust Memorial Day. So Holocaust Memorial Day always takes place on the 27th day of Nisan.
Yom HaZikaron, no?
No, it's different memorial. So why does it take place on the 27th day of Nisan? Who knows?
Warsaw Ghetto Uprising?
Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, right. So when did the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising actually occur?
What war?
The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising in the Second World War. Pesach. So how did they get Chav Zayin Nisan?
Secular day.
So the answer, right. So in 1951, or whenever it was when the Knesset made the law, so the date on which, the secular date on which the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising had been held 8 years earlier corresponded to Chav Zayin Nisan. Right? Even though the Hebrew day of the uprising was the first day of Pesach, the second day of Pesach, the first day of Pesach. But since the secular day that year, 51, corresponded to Chav Zayin Nisan, so they made Yom HaShoah and Chav Zayin Nisan. Now this is something which is unheard of in terms of random, it's like in America, right? If a holiday is inconvenient, we push it off to Monday, right? So we can have a long weekend. You can't do that with a Jewish holiday, because the Jewish holiday either is a Kedusha in the time, or it's not a Kedusha in the time. But it can't be a Kedusha which you make optional at some other time. This, by the way, is a big issue with the Chief Rabbinate a few years ago, and it's an ongoing issue. The Chief Rabbinate a few years ago came up in the state of Israel, came up with this tremendous this tremendous, brilliant idea that whenever Yom Ha'atzmaut, Israeli Independence Day, comes out on a Friday or a Sunday, they're going to move it. They're going to make it either Thursday or Monday.
Why Sunday? What's wrong with Sunday?
In order to prevent Chilul Shabbos. Because if it's on Friday or if it's on Sunday, there's going to be a lot of Chilul Shabbos which takes place.
If it's on Friday?
Yeah, because people are going to take a long weekend and they're going to go away and they're going to do all sorts of things on
Which
Shabbos.
chief Rabbinate was this?
The current ones.
Okay.
So what basically comes out is that most days, most years, Yom Ha'atzmaut, the Israeli Independence Day, does not come out on Hey Iyar, on the 5th day of Iyar, when the Declaration of Independence was in fact read for the first time. This is even more ironic because Hey Iyar actually was a Friday, the first year it occurred in 1948. So if one can make the argument that the observance should be held in honor of Yom Ha'atzmaut, and one can make that argument, but that argument is contingent on an assumption that there's a unique quality in that day. What's the quality in that day? That Israel achieved its independence. You can't push that day off and say, okay, now the unique quality of the day is transferred to this other day. Unless you are a Navi, I guess.
Tinius Esther.
Tinius Esther is not considered to be a sad day. This is not a sad day.
But it still has it's a certain Kedusha, and we move it when necessary.
Right, but Chazal made that determination.
Chazal determined that we're going to move it.
When it comes to Thursday, yeah.
You said we need a Navi.
No, okay, I was exaggerating. Chazal, we need Chazal. But the point is that Tinius Esther, in and of itself, you got to think about it for a minute. Tinius Esther is really one of the rare days which, in fact, we have, which is not connected to the event. Because when did the actual fast of Esther occur?
1st and 2nd and 30th Pesach.
Right, it happened during Pesach. Right, so this Tinius, which they made adjacent to Purim, is really not a commemorative one. It's a different type of creation.
So I won't ask you any further on that because we're going to go really off.
Yeah, okay. Back question.
Why?
I mean about Tinius Esther, because I'm not going to ask you what's the purpose of Tinius Esther.
Rabbi here.
What purpose of Tinius is?
He doesn't want to ask.
Tinius Esther. Never mind. We're going to go really far afield.
When we get close to Purim, we'll do Tinius Esther. Anyway,
Yeah,
so everybody's like, so getting back to Chanukah, so the idea was they had to sense the Kedusha in the day, the coming year, in order to determine that this was a proper day to make into a permanent holiday. Okay, so that's clue number one as to what the lasting impact of Chanukah is. There is a specific Kedusha in these days.
So what did they do before then?
What?
What did they do before then, before Chanukah?
Before Chanukah, these days were dormant, the same thing like before Purim.
Oh,
Or it didn't come down to the world in a revealed way until the nace actually occurred.
but the thing is, our Yom Tovim are going to change from the Hebrew to the solar calendar, so we're really having a different day. And even
no, because the Hebrew calendar is a real calendar.
Yeah, and the calendar is real. However, we have another. It's not going to be the same exact day. It's never going to be the same exact day.
Right, it's always
the exact
25th of Kislev.
Is only according to the solar calendar because we.
Why do you say that?
Because we're always correcting it.
Yeah,
11 days, and then every.
But since the Luach was given over to Chachamim to determine, that's the way it is.
So even though it's not actually the exact day.
What do you mean exact? How exactly? There's a certain arbitrary construct here.
Yud Nissan moves every year in relation to the solar calendar, which is what we do.
Right, but solar calendar is only seasons. The solar calendar is only good for seasons, not for dates.
Is it a holiday, by the way?
What are you talking about? It has exact dates.
No.
It has only a quarter.
No, the solar calendar. The seasons go by the solstice and by the what's the other one? The equinox, right? But we don't go, and that's what the solar calendar is really based on. But we're not based on that. We're based on lunar cycles.
All right.
You don't like it?
I can say it now. I can say it.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, Rabbi. Who's Hordot?
He was. Herod. What kind of book do you have here? It's about Chanukah. It doesn't tell you anything about Chanukah.
Yes, it does, Rabbi. I'm just checking. I'm checking that, Rabbi. Yes.
Yeah.
No, okay, Rabbi. So
he was a bad king. He was the one who killed the last Chashmonaim.
He also built the Beit HaMikdash.
Right, but he was still a bad king.
So
Who is this?
Herod.
Herod, who killed.
Rabbi, so it says that he
mad for thinking because he killed all the sages of Israel, so he decided he needed some sort of kapara.
So it says that he ruled 103 years over.
He what?
Of Shavi Yehuda.
What?
He wasn't alive for 103 years. That's not.
No, all the Chashmonaim altogether ruled for 103 years.
Oh.
Yeah, not Herod himself.
How long?
What?
How long?
Chashmonaim's rule remained for 103 years.
400?
103. And the Rambam writes about Chanukah that the reason why we celebrate Chanukah is because Chazra Malchus L'Yisrael, the governance of the land of Israel, returned to the Jews. Which is also a very funny thing. You know, it sounds like a very Zionist holiday. Maybe it is. Maybe Chanukah's original Zionist holiday. Chazra Malchus L'Yisrael. But I would assume that there's an added aspect to that. The added aspect is that Chazra Malchus L'Yisrael means there was a certain vestige of kingship, not of kingship in the sense of the literal king, which is also true, but in the sense of the autonomous nature of the Jewish people, distinct and separate from non-Jewish influences, which returned to the Jews at that time, and they could sense it. And of course, it's not a coincidence, as you all know, that we celebrate tonight, December 25th, in conjunction with Hanukkah. Who found the holiday of December 25th?
Romans.
No.
Greeks.
Pagans.
No.
Greeks.
Yeah, Romans.
Oh,
It was a pagan winter solstice.
oh my gosh.
Yoshka?
That's true.
Who?
Isn't it Constantine?
Did you say Nazi?
No, sir. So,
Who?
Oh, it was a Jew, let me guess.
yeah, which one?
Yoshka.
No.
Paul.
Paul.
Simon.
Apart.
Is there
Paul, show.
Peter, no? Was it Peter?
Adam.
Oh yeah, I knew this.
Yeah, you guys all knew that, didn't you?
holiday.
Yeah.
Who's Adam?
Oh.
Adam Rishon. It was because it is the winter solstice. He was right about that.
25th
It's because it was because of the winter
No,
solstice.
not because of winter solstice, but not the winter solstice.
Well, it was on the day of
Wait.
winter solstice because of the fact that it
Yeah.
started becoming brighter.
Can someone explain what was
Sure,
just said?
no
'Cause
problem.
That completely went over my head.
Yes.
Something about Adam and now winter solstice is December
The
25th.
Gemara in Avodah Zarah. Hey, I want to give the shear.
I was waiting for you, and you didn't. I didn't see you going.
Order in the court.
Shalom's giving the shear tonight. I think it's there. Camera, Shalom.
Okay, it's fine. We're cool over here.
I'm sorry.
So okay. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah says that and when Adam was assuming that he sinned around Rosh Hashanah time, which is around the time of the vernal equinox, right, of the autumnal equinox, assuming that then the days were more or less even. And he saw that as time went by, the days were getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And he got really, really nervous at the world. Because of his sin, the world was coming to an end. And therefore, he got very depressed until December 25th. Because on December 25th, 4 days after the solstice, he noticed already that the days were getting longer. By the way, this happened also in the desert. You know, in the desert, the last year, in the desert, every year they were going to their graves on the 9th day of Av, and every year, the people who got up survived, and the people who remained behind, they woke up dead. So during that last year, nobody died the 9th of Av. So they kept on going to the graves every night until the 15th, when they realized that actually there was a full moon. Clearly they had not been off by the date by that much. But in any event, here in this case also, Adam only realized it was getting longer on the 4th day after the solstice. Now, of course, for us, it would take a month to realize that because we're so stupid. But Adam was pretty bright. So 4 days later, he realized that this is the case. So he made a yontif. The yontif he made was the yontif of December 25th.
So this
Doesn't have a Hebrew date.
It says December 25th? What do you want to say?
Yeah, it says 4 days after they start getting longer again.
Oh, okay.
Rabbi, so why do you think the 4 days?
Right?
Rabbi, I'm confused.
Because each day is like a half a minute longer. It takes a while to notice.
Wait, so how did this Yom Tov get passed down into winter?
So the Romans,
How did pagan?
the Romans took it over. Well, then they called it Saturnalia. And they had all sorts of festivities.
So 1 second.
Adam, it says, had made 8 days fasting before December 25th, and 8 days feasting after December 25th, which are from December 25th to January 1st.
Rabbi,
But eventually this became a Roman a holiday, and like all good Roman holidays, was devoted to drinking and orgies. So that was the holiday of Saturnalia.
Rabbi,
Which is 16 days.
I'm sorry to interrupt. So what about me?
You're not sorry to interrupt. You're never sorry to interrupt.
Right.
Let's get that straight. Yes?
Rabbi,
Yeah. What did you want?
wait, so I went to that.
We'll get back to you. Yeah.
Okay, so I thought Adam knew everything in the world. Wouldn't he realize the world's coming to an
So
end?
I always bring this. Come on, it's a good question. Go off on a tangent, but that's okay. I always bring this. I always bring this as evidence that Adam was not taught science by Hashem.
No way.
Right? Isn't that obvious?
Maybe you could say after he sinned, he
That's why I always say we're not required to assume that Chazal knew all science, or even Moshe Rabbeinu, if Adam didn't know all science. If Hashem, literally speaking, left him in the dark about this issue, so it means that he didn't actually feel a need to teach Adam and Rishon these issues.
What about the point that was just raised?
Sorry, what point?
But you could say that couldn't you say that he just lost most of his knowledge after he sinned?
You could, but there's no indication of that anywhere.
Well, he lost tons of things after he sinned.
It just says it became shorter.
Maybe some of the stuff seeped out. That's
Could be, yeah.
You can just on that same topic.
Ariel's going to get insulted. But I'll get back.
Wait.
It's the same question.
I had a question.
How could that be if seasons only came after the flood?
It did it. That's why that Spartan's wrong.
right in there.
So why are you saying knowing that Hazal? You're saying that he's wrong, but he knows the Hazal. Why would he write such a thing?
No, Sparta wrote a lot of stuff against Chazal.
Who?
Sparta.
You understood probably?
No, because he held him shot and should not tie down to Chazal.
Really?
And that's how he touched up. Oh, may Dama Zerabaka.
The Russians say that also?
No. Sorry.
Okay, so then.
Rabbi, I think you skipped me. Did you?
No, we're coming back to you. We're coming
Those are
back.
really good pshat this far.
In the meantime, think of a question to ask.
I've told them already.
No, you don't.
Yes, what do you think I'm doing right
Ask
now?
one.
Right now?
Yeah.
How can I Hanukkah candles in the shul and make a bracha on it?
What's that have to do with what we're talking about?
It's Hanukkah.
So, doesn't this answer the question that was in the Gemara about, it's in the back of Rosh Hashanah, it talks about whether Adam was created in one of 2 months.
Right, according to this Gemara, it's created in Tishrei, yeah.
Right, so would that be consistent? Because usually when the Gemara refers to another Gemara and holds it as if it's true, you assume that it's true, right?
No, it could just mean they're agreeing with each
Because
other.
like before the Gemara, like in Sukkah, the Gemara mentions like a portable Sukkah is not kosher. Then there's a machloket. Then later on they talk about a Sukkah on top of the shed.
Right.
You would assume that the mobile Sukkah is fine.
Right.
Because it takes, except that idea is true.
Right.
So when you assume there that the Gemara now accepts the idea of Adam being born now having been created this time of the year.
It seems that way from that Gemara Avodah Zarah, yeah.
Okay.
No, wait. There's no seder in the Mishnah. So as long as it's not in the same Masechta, you don't say that there's a seder. We only say that rule if it's in
This
the same
is not,
Masechta.
first of all, it's not a Mishnah, it's a Gemara.
Gemara, whatever it is.
No, but besides, that's not the point. All Yossi says is that this Gemara Avodah Zarah clearly is going with the opinion that the world was created in Tishrei.
So it could be agreeing with the one of the.
That's like Rabbi Elazar, now like Rabbi Yeshua. It's okay, fine.
But it could have been before the actual machlokas.
What?
It could have been before the actual machlokas took place.
Maybe, but I'm just all he's pointing out is that it goes like
proof to it, right?
yeah.
Okay,
I know proof, but it's evident. Yeah.
Back to Hanukkah.
What?
Back to Hanukkah.
Yeah. So Adam Arisha made this holiday on December 25th, right? So of course December 25th usually corresponds to
Xmas.
this time of year, right? So Hanukkah is not. I used to think that Hanukkah is, which is of course, as you all know, a relatively minor Jewish holiday, right? Chassidim don't even wear the shtreimels for Hanukkah, which means that it's really low down on the totem pole. Because for Purim they wear the shtreimels. For Shushan Purim they wear their
Of course
shtreimels.
they wear the shtreimels for Purim.
What about Pesach Sheni?
But what?
Do they wear their shtreimels for Pesach Sheni?
That's a good question. I don't know. But in any event, the point is, probably not. Probably not. The point is that I always used to thought that because of the competition with the secular holidays, that Hanukkah made it big, right? FAO Schwartz pushed Hanukkah so that they could sell more toys, and that's how Hanukkah became what Hanukkah is today. But there may be some truth to that, but that's not really the pshat, of course. The real pshat is Hanukkah is the holiday of light. It's the holiday of light which comes at the greatest darkness. The darkness are the Greeks, Choshev Zu Yavan, Chazal say, and the lights illuminate the darkness. That's what it's about, and that's why it does come out at the same time as the darkest days of the year. Whether it's exact or not exact, that doesn't matter. The point is that what Hashem put in Hanukkah a quality, that it can illuminate the darkest days of the winter. Somebody had a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why Gary put out the Xmas lights.
It's fine, it's fine. That's my question.
Yeah.
When did the Jews stop celebrating Adam's?
And they never did. They never
He was the
did.
only one, and then that was it.
What?
Adam was the only one, and then
Did Avram Avinu celebrate it?
Not December 25th.
Yeah, the Adam's holiday. Do you remember the name for it? I remember the Gemara gave it a name.
December the Zara there?
I see something.
So, what's the problem of celebrating the 25th?
What?
How does it celebrate 25th? How does it celebrate New Year's?
By
By the way, Yoshka himself, Jesus was not born on December 25th. He was born sometime in the spring.
So,
That little manger in Bethlehem, they didn't actually sit out in the freezing cold in Bethlehem and give birth to new babies in the middle of December. This took place at Pesach time. But the Christians were brilliant PR experts, and they realized that in order to get Christianity to catch on, they should latch on to an existing holiday, and they did it, and that was pretty smart. To this day, they're some very frum Christians who do not keep who do not keep Christmas. They their Easter is their big day.
No, some of them keep in January.
That's the Russian Orthodox, yeah, but that's
So the 31st of December.
Mm-hmm.
So people celebrate until now. That's not what is it? It is.
What do you mean it's not what it's her?
Because if that was Adam's the happy day, I mean, what's the problem?
Because it was taken over by the Avodah Zarah in the meantime.
So can I still study
So it's
Torah
Avodah Zarah?
during this time?
Wait, what?
So it's Avodah Zarah?
Once it's taken over by them, so then then we can't use it.
Okay, fine. Celebrating meaning like putting.
So I'm not allowed to put on film tomorrow.
It doesn't say what you call the holiday. The Romans call it Kalanda.
Hey, that's actually a good question. Why do we put on tefillin if there's a mitzvah hayom? Just really random. We have a mitzvah hayom of candles. No?
That doesn't matter. It's not a Kedusha Yom.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't see that they're giving any special name over here. What are you going to ask? Somebody asked about the special name for the holiday?
Yeah, I didn't know.
So I'm not sure. It says here Kalanda and Saturnalia, but those are Roman names. Adam doesn't seem to have given it a name. He just says he made a holiday.
Wait, a question.
Yeah.
I don't know, I could have missed it, but did we ever really resolve the issue of why Hanukkah wasn't instituted as a Yom Tov until the next year? Because we were speaking about the intrinsic value.
Yeah, so
what does that have to do
the
with?
Chazal had to sense that the day had some sort of permanent Kedusha which Hashem embedded in it.
Why could they not sense that year?
Because that year they had the elation of the actual celebration of the redemption.
And so, well, how would they go about sensing it the next year? Or
I don't know
standing
how.
out in a field and
I don't know. Yeah, maybe they had their Geiger counters. I don't know exactly how they measured it, but we know that Chazal are the ones who measure these things, whether holiness is embedded in the day or not. So that's why we assume that they were able to figure it out.
wait, sorry. Who are the Chazal?
What?
Who are the Chazal?
The early Tanoim.
The early.
Tanoim.
Okay.
Sages of the Mishnah. Okay, even though it's not in the Mishnah itself, Hanukkah, but they were observing it in the earlier days of the Mishnah already. Yeah.
Rabbi.
Oh, so
Let's let her real talk.
Take it
I
over.
stuck up for you that time.
Okay,
Let's go.
Okay. Rabbi, make me nervous, Rabbi. I have questions, but make me nervous. Right, so next question. Yes. That's our first question, which is...
Why do we lie in the
Here,
shul?
here, right. So here's the scenario. We said that...
Ask me, lying in the shul, I'm going to kick you out.
What?
I start with Short's question.
Yeah, Rabbi Short.
Why can't we just talk about what we're talking about?
Okay, fine.
I'm confused if you asked a question.
Rabbi, good question. Here. Masechet Shabbos.
Does he do this in all the Shemar Samech?
No. Well, Ramir's works. It's funny, very funny though.
Guys, we're on video. Come on. Okay. So, Masechet Shabbos. It says that but his Hillel holds they're supposed to count 1 through 8. Shana holds it's supposed 8 through 1. Now Shana explains that the reason for that is because on Sukkot, that's how the Karbanos was going down, not up. So what's the pshat? What's the connection with Sukkot and
Excellent question.
You see, all this time I'm holding back from a good question, Rabbi.
Okay, I'm not going to respond to that.
Hi.
So,
Can you repeat the question so people...
do all the recordings on TorahAnytime.com?
I have them.
They all have this kind of entertainment?
Rabbi, put it closer. Repeat the question.
Yeah, I want to repeat the question in a moment. I don't want to address it yet. Just give me a moment. Give me a couple of minutes and I'll repeat it. The point is like this: that if Chanukah had a lasting impression, which the Chazal sensed, this is its lasting impression. It's a time of illumination within darkness. And I would assume, again, not that I used to assume that it's just because of the competition that Hanukkah became such a major holiday, but rather on the contrary, Chazal set it up. And they sensed that it was given to them as a gift in order to confront the competitors. Meaning, in order to be able to say, no, you guys have this, and we'll have this. And this is meaningful, and what you're doing actually is not. And that's really what the point of Chanukah is. Now, it does that in two ways, and this gets to Ariel's question as to why Beis Shammai says that it's like the Karbanos on Sukkot, the Parei Chag, which get lower, less and less and less, 14, 13, 12, etc. And why Beis Hillel says it goes, we go more and more, 1 to 2 counts, 3 counts, 4 counts, because of Malim B'Kodesh, because we uplift ourselves in holy things. Okay, so the idea is like this. This is from Rav Zevin. It's a beautiful verse from Rav Zevin, one of the great Jewish thinkers of the 20th century. He says, the machlokas between Shammai and Hillel is whether the candles of Chanukah are or ur. Or is light. Ur is fire. What's the difference? Light illuminates. Fire consumes.
Wow.
Chanukah can do one of two different things. It can illuminate the world, so kind of asay tov, to do good, or it can destroy the wickedness, which is the sur meira, eliminating the bad. Beis Shammai holds that Chanukah was made in order to eliminate wickedness. And that's like the parah, the diminishing number of Karbanos and Sukkos represent eliminating the negative aspects, right, of creation, right? So, who are those negative aspects? The non-Jews who are not subservient to God. So it says that the Parei Chag represent the non-Jews who are not subservient to God. So the idea is to eliminate them. Whether we eliminate them by killing them or by having them do tshuva, that's not material for us right now. We'd rather they do tshuva. Let me make that clear. Okay, we don't want to eliminate the non-Jews just by killing them. That would be very antithetical to Torah values. But we want to try and eliminate their negative aspects. So that is Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel says, no, the way to do it is not by fighting them, but rather by uplifting us. Okay? Not by burning them, but by illuminating ourselves. Now, that's what Rav Zevin says. He says it much better, a little bit longer length, and much more eloquently. Now I want to add to that, which is that Or in Gematria is 207. And 207 can be, if it's written Resh Zion, it means secret. Raz means secret. 207 is written the other way, backwards, it's Zer. Zer is one of the synonyms for a crown. Of course, Zor, a stranger. Zion Resh with the Komatz, Zor, is related to Zion Resh with a Tzere, Zer. How so? Because a Zor is something which is strange, alien. A crown is alien to your body. In other words, the crown sits on top of your head. In the Kabbalistic array of spheros, so Keser is the highest sphera, and it's above your Chachma and Bina. It's not subject to your knowledge and understanding. It's above that. So that is Zer. That's a crown, Keser. Raz is a secret which you hold deep inside of you. You sense the secret of the matter. Whenever the Sfarim want to say a reason for saying, they say this is the sod, which is the same word as Raz. This is the sod, the secret of the matter. It says, I forget who about which Tana, it says, Kol Raz lo anisle. There was no secret he did not know. So the question is, which is which? So I would say to you that Beis Hillel holds of the Zor, of the Raz, the secret, expanding that secret which we have, filling ourselves with it, and then, so to speak, running over with it, like the cup that runneth over. Whereas Beis Shammai holds the opposite. Beis Shammai holds that this is a Zer, meaning that this is something which we display and manifest in order to eliminate other negative things. So again, according to Beis Hillel, it's an internal perception. According to Beis Shammai, it's an external kick in the pants for the other side. So there, the idea is, and if you want to learn the word stranger, that context as well, right? It's a way to get rid of the strangers in some sort of negative way. So Chanukah has either one of these traits, and has both of them, except since we pass Beis Hillel means we stress Beis Hillel. But the idea of Chanukah is there is an illumination and a flame. The illumination is the light of the menorah, and the flame is the light of the menorah as well. You know, it says about, we had in, I think last week's or 2 weeks ago, it says, Vayah Beis Yaakov Eish, Beis Yosef Lahava. The house of Yaakov will be a fire, and the house of Yosef will be a flame.
2 parshias ago.
What? 2 parshias ago? Okay. So what is the it says that the Yaakov is a fire, Yosef is a flame, Esav is straw, and the fire with the flame destroys the straw. So of course, what's fire without flame? What's flame without fire? And why do you have fire plus flame? So I think the idea is this idea that Yaakov represents the light of the fire, right? That's why Yaakov represents to us the knowledge of Hashem. Yosef is the flame of the fire, which burns, which eradicates. And that's why Yosef represents to us throughout Jewish history the warrior who wars against the forces of evil in the world. So what happens is that you have here in this combination of Yaakov and Yosef, the same combination we have with Or and Ur, and I think the same combination we have with Raz, the secret, and Zer, that which is very much on display. Now, a person during Chanukah, we know, doesn't have a mitzvah of simcha, according to most Mefarshim, right? Most poskim hold there's no mitzvah of simcha, in and of itself. Most poskim are litvax, right? Yeah. So most poskim. Did you ever hear the Brisker joke about Hanukkah? It was a very stupid joke, but and if I know it's true, that's what makes it frightening. But they say this is totally off tangent, and it's not very funny because it's a Brisker joke. Yes, they say the Brisker Rav one year, when he came to light Hanukkah candles, he lit candles, and he was about to light candles, and he noticed there was a broom standing by the menorah. So he picked up the broom. He said, I'm not doing this because of any halachic reason. It just doesn't look nice to have a broom next to the candles. And he moved the broom to the broom closet where it was supposed to go. So to this very day, the Brisker Talmidim, every Hanukkah, before they light candles, they take a broom and they put the broom next to the menorah. And they say, we're not doing this for halachic reasons. But it doesn't look nice, so we are now moving this broom away from the Hanukkah candles. I told you it wasn't that fun. Anyway, but...
I get it.
a Litvisher joke is not meant to be funny, it's meant to be nasty. That's the aside of a Litvisher joke. Anyway...
That's just a joke, though. It's not...
I think so, but every joke has a barb in it. Yes. So the... Getting back to the idea of Or and Ur, so what happens is that on Hanukkah we have both the illumination, and we have the capacity to eradicate. Again, not eradicate with violently, but eradicate in terms of eliminating negative things which occur. So the idea of Hanukkah had to be understood by Chazal to have these patterns in it, in order for them to be able to set this up as a permanent holiday. And you know, the truth is that this probably is why they make such a big deal out of the oil burning for 8 days, which is really not a big deal. Really, in halacha, it makes no sense to celebrate oil burning for 8 days. What's the big thing? What's the big deal?
Commemorate.
We had much better things. But
Yeah, see how much cooler miracles in Jewish history. Yeah.
Wait, what about the actual war?
What?
I mean, what about the actual war? The Hanukkah Light. That's big. That's a bigger.
Right. That's why the Prima Gunim's answer to why we have 8 days of Hanukkah instead of 7 is because the first day's for the war.
Isn't the burning light like to show us that Hashem was with us during the?
Oh, so I think that you're right. I think yes, you're right, and I'd like to take that further, which is that the light is in fact only a metaphor, but a very powerful metaphor for this illumination, and at the same time this flame of purification which spreads during Hanukkah. The flame came from the Mesirus Nefesh, from the drive of the Chashmonaim, to eradicate the Greek culture. That's where it came from. The flame became embedded in Hanukkah, and Chazal wanted to bring that out, and therefore they made the observance of lighting the Hanukkah candles for 8 days. Okay? You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
What? Doesn't look like it. Again, the Hanukkah candles themselves were not the
Well, no,
reason.
I just don't understand how it relates to the previous concept. My previous understanding was it was just like an indicator that this was like.
No. So actually, it says
So that's
the big
clearly not what you're
tzaddik.
saying.
See, the big tzaddikim. No, you haven't been here very long. Huh? What's your name?
Josh,
Have you ever been here before?
for about half a day.
Yeah, I'm saying this class.
No, I've been at Orsamea since
Oh, you've been on Samaritan half a day.
6 or
Oh, so you don't know about the moron factor yet?
what's the more?
The moron factor.
Rabbi, there might be that.
Shalom, you want to explain the moron factor?
I say we're all idiots. We're not get
I have another joke about Chris.
factor is that we're all morons nowadays because we have so many entertainment devices and things that distract us that we can't actually properly focus and concentrate on something for more than a very short period of time.
So actually, when they were very righteous and people who were not ADD, they actually sat and stared at the candles. They contemplated the candles for whatever it was, a half an hour, an hour.
Possible.
As you were saying.
Case in point, hey. So the by the way, Ari Kaplan, the Jewish Meditation, has a few pages. I don't think it's a whole chapter on contemplating a flame, and I've tried to do this, and it really has not worked for me. But, what? You're supposed to notice in a flame, if you stay in a flame long enough, you're supposed to see many colors. So see,
There is.
orange, red, blue, black,
Black, yeah.
and nothingness,
I saw that.
Yeah, and empty parts and stuff.
and empty parts, and you're supposed to understand how all those parts of the flame interrelate and what they represent. Now, they can represent many things, but that's part of contemplation.
Contemplate the flame. It's the thing that's in our world that's the most physical and yet the most spiritual.
Exactly.
It's like
That's what you're contemplating.
it's the impossible factor that with the stairs.
Just think of it as little pixels, right? But that's exactly his point. That's exactly his point. So the thing is that, again, what?
What's going to happen after you?
He says that if you understand the way flame works, you understand the way the Hashem conducts creation.
Okay, everything's harmonious. So
What?
everything's
But it's
harmonious.
impossible.
It's not just
understand.
harmonious. What?
It's impossible to understand.
Why don't you read what he says so you'll see?
Am I going to
I
find
need to
the
get
end of
this
the
book
story
tonight.
at the end of the lesson or not?
At the end of this lesson?
No, the Kindle thing.
No, it's just called it's a lesson of contemplation, not meditation.
It's hard to read.
In order to fly, you have to master meditation, not contemplation.
Oh,
You
Yeah.
heard this other joke about Brisk? What are the two hardest things for Ben Twart to do? To get into Brisk or to get out of Lakewood?
Okay, very good. Yeah.
I joke about this.
So the idea of the Hanukkah candles is actually you're supposed to be able. Reb Tzadok writes this. He says, Tzadok Lubin, one of the great Jewish thinkers of the true 19th century, says one's supposed to see in the candles the illumination of. I think he says the Or of Mashiach, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah,
Let me go.
yeah. So
Is this the burning?
it's one way to get rid of Ariel. So just kidding. That's it. Yeah.
You know they don't edit these videos, Rabbi.
If that's the case, they're all the more fun. So the idea of the candles is integral, and it also relates to the other aspect of Hanukkah, which I mentioned before. Before I said the Brisker joke or Brisker whatever, that there is no din simcha on Hanukkah. There's no halacha of making parties for rejoicing or making festive meals.
Why can't we fast?
Because it's not a day of mourning. Now it's a mourn on days which are considered to be days of thankfulness, even though not days of actual
Yeah,
simcha.
Megillas Tainus.
Right, there's the one in Megillus Tainus. There's the only two Megillus Tainus.
Tainus is talks about Megillus Tainus.
Yeah,
But all fast
the only two
ones-
Megillus Tainus days which we have left are Hanukkah and Purim.
Can't you fast just for not for morning? Just plain old not eat?
What?
So why we lose them? Why they just let them pass by?
Because
It
there
makes sense in
were
Judaism.
too many things which happened, and we have to start remembering things which happened every day. We have 500 remember.
Yeah, I know, but that's like forgot which kind of chasim that have like almost every day is a yard site for
Right.
different.
So obviously, mainstream Judaism doesn't like that. Anyway, let me finish this point. So the idea what the Ramah says is that you have to make the day. In order to make it, or Marshall I think says this, is that in order to make it Sudas mitzvah, or to make it a Sudas Chanukah, so to speak, you have to actually be able to.
See the names?
No, you have to be able to thank and praise Hashem. You have to, and you can sing and say Divrei Torah, which emphasize that point. So
just by mentioning,
it's important. It's an important point to make, which is on Purim or on a Yom Tov or even on Shabbos, they don't tell you, okay, in order to have Oneg Shabbos, you have to contemplate something. In order to have Simchas Yom Tov, you have to contemplate something. On the contrary, it says, eat meat, drink wine, and you'll be happy. Right? It doesn't say any contemplation was necessary, because the idea of Hanukkah is, the core issue of Hanukkah is, it requires contemplation. It requires that illumination. It requires that fire, which is at the core of the holiday. So therefore, if it's without contemplation, then it is not considered to be a Sudas mitzvah. On Shabbos it would be, on Yom Tov it would be, not on Hanukkah. There's another point they wanted to make in this regard, which is that I forgot what I was going to say. What was I going to say? I forgot. Okay, scratch that. Let's say something else. In fact, it says when we light the Hanukkah candles, we say Haneros Halolu Kodeshem. They're holy. Vein Lon Rishus Lishtamesh B'hem. We have no right to use them. Elo Lirosam Bilvad. Kedei Lechodos Ulahalel. To see them, to thank Hashem, and to praise Hashem, Yisecho, etc. So, in fact, it's almost explicit there. The point of lighting the candles is to see them, to come through that, to halal and hodah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to thank and to praise Hashem. So, that it says explicitly in that paragraph that we're doing this in order to see it, in order to have that level of perception in the illumination of Hashem, which eradicates evil and promotes good. And that's why also we say Mosur. We say something which all the Sfarim speak about in many different ways. It's because the Chashmonoim, B'nei Vina, the children of understanding. Right? So, the question is why B'nei Bina? And all the Kabbalists say it's because Bina is the 8th Sphira from the bottom up, and Chanukah is 8 days, and some people say it's because through Bina they understood to make 8 days, not just 7 days, because they knew the 500 answers which you can give to the Beis Yosef's Kasha, as to why they're...
have 500 answers?
I think they're up to 500 now, yeah.
Wow.
So that's what I heard.
I would like to hear those.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be like a bunch of corny ones, you know?
Probably as much as just variations on the theme.
It would be much better if they were sorted.
Yeah. So in any event, that's why they did it. That's why they knew to make 8 days. But I think that there's more than that. In other words, B'nai Bina means there is a perception of something which is not necessarily immediately apparent, but rather you contemplate things and you see this actually when it happens. I remember now what I was going to say before. I remembered it. But Tzaddik has a Gavaldik Chiddush. But Tzaddik says that, it says that all the miracles were allowed to be written down, and Chanukah was not allowed to be written down.
That's right.
What?
It doesn't have
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you
Right.
before.
It doesn't have Masechta, and it doesn't, not only that, it doesn't have Sefer Tanakh, right? It doesn't have Megillah.
It's completely Masorah.
Right. So then the reason is, and that's why the Maharal said,
Masorah is or.
yeah, and that's what the Maharal says. It's the Chanukah is the Yom Tov of
Or.
Sora?
It's not
Yom
Tov.
couldn't be written down, so it's Yom Tov of.
What did you say?
What you just said. Don't change it.
Go back.
Torah Shbal Peh. What did you say?
Baal Peh.
Shbal Peh. Okay. Torah Shbal Peh. The Yom Tov of, because all the other Yom Tovim are in Tanakh. This is not in Tanakh, so therefore it's Yom Tov of Torah Shbal Peh. And the reason is, of course, because Reb Tzadok says historically this was at the beginning of the period of Torah Shbal Peh, right? Because this was at the beginning of the period of Tanoim. Purim was not quite the beginning of Torah Shbal Peh yet; it was still the time of Tanakh. But this is the beginning of Torah Shbal Peh, and therefore it's not supposed to be written down. It's not written down in the Mishnayos, it's except in an allusion a little bit, because it's the art of Torah Shbal Peh.
It's also.
Sorry.
It's also when Alexander the Great comes to conquer Yerushalayim, which is the beginning of the Greek Empire. He bows down to Shimon HaTzadik, who is the last person of Anshe Knesset Torah, the beginning of the whole Rosh cycle.
Right, which has also to do with this. But Reb Tzadok says an amazing thing. He says that that's all before Rabbi Yehuda Nasi gave the heter to write down Torah Shbal Peh. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi gave the license to write down the oral Torah. Now, Reb Tzadok quotes, he doesn't go by name, but Reb Nosson Adler, the Chasam Sofer's Rebbe, held that the leniency of writing down the oral law is only because of people are more forgetful nowadays, and they might forget. So therefore, you write it down, right? In order not to forget things. So he himself, Reb Nosson Adler, would never write down anything because he didn't need it to remember. He had a tremendous memory. So he just wrote in like a little code, shorthand, in order to give himself pointers, but he wouldn't write down, lengthy pieces. In any event, Reb Tzadok argues with that. Reb Tzadok says it's not true. So it says once Rabbi Yehuda Nasi permitted writing Torah Shbal Peh down, now to write Torah Shbal Peh is part of the mitzvah of writing Torah. But until Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, there was no mitzvah to write Torah Shbal Peh. It was awesome. But now it's a mitzvah to write Torah Shbal Peh. And it goes into the mitzvah deraisa of Kisvu Lechemes Hashirazos to write a Torah Shbal. Now, after Rabbi Yehuda Nasi comes along, includes Torah Shbal Peh as well.
So why did Rabbi Yehuda Nasi feel? I mean, if Chanukah was the beginning of all of Torah Shbal Peh, why didn't he feel necessary to write like a full thing on it? If he wrote with all Mishnahs, it was the beginning of Torah Shbal Peh. It was the makar of the entire Mishnahs of what he's of his life's.
No, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi didn't write down the Mishnayos.
What? He said he codified them.
Big difference.
So why didn't he feel necessary to put an introduction or whatever?
What?
Or feel necessary to put a Mishnah in before Brachos, or a Mishnah in Avos, or a Mishnah wherever?
That what?
That to say that Chanukah is the beginning of Torah Shbal Peh.
Why does he have to say that?
Because it's like, it would be a big deal, wouldn't it be? I mean, it's the beginning of
Because then if you stress that too much, you fall into a dangerous situation. Because people will start thinking that Torah Shbal Peh, like the Sadducees did, that was made up. You don't want to stress so much at the beginning of Torah Shbal Peh. That's what I'm saying?
No, I don't think so.
If you stress that Torah Shbal Peh began then, so
they started making it up then.
Right, cast aspersions on the Masorah. So you have to be very careful with things like that.
I see.
Okay, but the point is like this. The point is that when Chanukah was first made, it certainly had only the quality of something which is Torah Shbal Peh. And something which only Torah Shbal Peh is something which is really beyond the existence of this world. It's not embedded in the existence of this world. And since it's not embedded in the existence of this world, it became a real issue whether to keep Chanukah or not.
It's really also because the nearest are something that's really you can't hold them like a lulav. You can't.
Right, and candles also themselves are not something you can grasp. They're something which are ethereal as well. Right. So Chanukah only because that's why they had to wait a year in order to determine whether, nevertheless, there was something here which really should make them change things around in terms of the calendar or observances and so on and so forth. But the point is like this: Chanukah itself, when it came into being, it had no connection to Maisa, had no connection to actual deed because of its nature as being a Yontav V'Torah Sh'Ba'al Peh. After the leniency to write down Torah Sh'Ba'al Peh took effect, so now Chanukah itself has a writing, so to speak, meaning that it is more embedded in the creation than it was beforehand. So therefore, what beforehand was a iffy type of thing now became a much more powerfully embedded thing. And could be that's what we have in Machlekes in the Gemara.
Is there like an example of this?
Yeah. Because in Machlekes Gemara, what bracha do you make when you light candles? What bracha do we make?
Shechiranu?
The first one. Right. So there's a different opinion in the Gemara.
What's Chanukah mean?
Dedication.
Yeah, dedication. There's a different opinion in the Gemara which holds, and we don't pass this way, but the Yerushalmi does, that it's the bracha makers lishmoa mitzvahs zekanim, to listen to the words of the elders, the commandments of the elders. And I think that this is the machlokes. In other words, if you hold that the mitzvahs, the brachas lishmoa mitzvahs zekanim, it's because it's not, Chanukah is not real, but they told us to light, so we light. In other words, it's not embedded in creation. But one is, there's no concept, it's a cheptza of Chanukah. They told you light candles, so you light candles. Yes, what I mean is that in terms of, the celebration. Like Megillah's, all the rest of Megillah's Taanis days, all those minor celebrations they had on the Gemara, hundreds of them don't care, they're not there anymore. They had no permanence, right? The permanence came when Chanukah became written down, and when then became part of, so to speak, the permanent aspect of creation, the written Torah Sh'Ba'al Peh, and at that point, that's the reason why we make the bracha La'adi Kner Shel Chanukah. There is, in fact, such a thing, a cheptza, a unique quality of the day, which is the quality of Chanukah. So I want to end with this. So we'll come back to more Chanukah stuff Friday morning. I want to end with this. Chanukah is the most difficult yontif to keep, because every other yontif.
So ethereal?
What? Yeah, because it doesn't take you out of your daily existence. Melacha's not also, right? It's not like Purim where you eat, drink, and make merry, literally speaking, right? It's not like certainly not like a Shabbos. It's very weekday. It's very hard to grasp.
You don't even have to light at
right. And the worst time, of course, is the last day of Chanukah, which every 8th day of Chanukah is like the most depressing day because you're not going to light candles again that night. So it's hard even to feel that this is still Chanukah. And usually the day I've noticed the 8th day of Chanukah, the weather is usually also awful. So it's really depressing.
Yeah, so you've been in Chicago and Muncie for so long.
That's true. Should try keeping Chanukah in Florida one year, see what it's like down there. It's got a Disney World, it must be great. Anyway, so
wait, why are we lighting at the beginning of each day anyway? Why is that?
Well, because we want the entire day to be illuminated by it's an interesting question. Why we light at night? That's obvious because a candle during the day is.
It's also the end of the last day.
But I'm sorry.
Isn't it also the end of the prior day?
Yes, but that's the point. Since the Jewish day begins at night, so as reason Makdim and Lemitzvahs, we do it as soon as possible.
So you're saying it's just out of practicality that it's at the beginning?
No, because there's the symbolism too, which is that it banishes the darkness, right? It takes away the darkness. So that's why Chanukah particularly requires this contemplation, because it comes out in the middle of everything, and because it's long. 8 days is a long time. So that and it's most of the time it's just like a regular weekday. When I get home tonight, I'm going to have to take out the garbage. You know, you have to do all the regular stuff, one does on a weekday. So you have to go to school tomorrow. So therefore it's a tremendous challenge. But what we have to try and do is we have to take out whether moments, whether we're lighting the candles, simo, sur, when shear, when you have a free moment, and seeing it to myself as well as to anybody else here, to contemplate that Hashem gives us both or and ur. He gives us with the secret He gave us and with the crown that He gave us the capacity to find our way in the darkness and to find a way to eliminate, or I should say, at least from our point, diminish negative behavior and to enhance our positive behavior. And that in the time of the greatest darkness, which is the time which is in the winter but symbolizes the ultimate galus, so then we have to make sure to find Hashem in that. I want to end with one other idea which I just saw this year, which is Yavan in Gematria is?
Yavan?
Yavan in Gematria is?
About 16.
66. The same Gematria as Galgal.
What?
Galgal.
The creation.
Galgal is, yeah, but in this, there are several meanings where Galgal, Spasem is used to refer to astrology, but for our purposes it's a wheel. A wheel is a Galgal. And a Galgal...
Eagle?
What?
Was it an eagle? No, eagle is Neshem.
Yeah, the eagle is Neshem.
No. I mean, an eagle, the word, the Hebrew word, eagle.
Eagle is a circle.
Yeah.
Galgal is a wheel.
Oh.
Okay? So it's a Galgal is something which is a cyclical. It cycles around and around and around. And the Greek perspective was that everything is just a cycle. There's nothing transcendent in creation.
Wait, Judaism is also a cycle. No?
Yes, but it's a different cycle.
It's a beginning.
It's a different cycle. And that cycle without getting it, because it'll take too much time, maybe on Friday we'll discuss it. That's why they want to cancel Rosh Chodesh, Mila, and Shabbos, because they represent our control of the cycle. Or it's our manipulation of the cycle as opposed to the cycle manipulating us. So that's... What? 8 as opposed to 7? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, so
but it's more than that, because it means... No, but it's more than that, because they held the human body is perfect. The whole concept of Bris Milah is to show that the human body is imperfect. Right. Yeah, and even though God created it, it's still not perfect. But we have to perfect it.
How does it make sense? God created it not perfect.
What?
How does it make sense?
Because He wanted us to perfect it. That's the point.
Partners in creation.
Partners in creation, yes, but and spiritually, in this case, spiritually and physically.
Chodesh, I can understand. What was the last one? Shabbos?
Yeah.
Rabbi,
So,
I'm sorry, I have this very nice question I think I have. So,
You didn't finish, did you?
right, now I didn't finish.
I'm sorry.
So the idea is that it's not just a cycle which goes on or on autopilot. There is a certain illuminate, there's a certain kedusha which we embed in that cycle by most primarily the calendar, which is why Chanukah is why Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh were so important, because they indicate that the cycle of the month and the week have inherent kedusha in them. So I want to add this one thing which I just thought of as I was speaking, which is usually very often you find that if you break a word apart, then you have the antidote to that word. Without getting into other examples tonight, but here gal, it's a cycle. If you put a gal and gal together, what you're supposed to do is break apart the cycle and have a gilui, and to see, like it says in Tehillim, gal einai v'abito niflos mitorosecha. I want to break into that cycle and show how the wonders of HaKadosh Baruch Hu are present there. Okay, I babbled long enough.
If you have a continuous cycle, it's like it becomes an everyday thing. You don't notice the time going by.
Right.
Life's meaningless.
That's the 6 minutes, Lag BaOmer, but that's a different time.
Rabbi using random references, not fair.
Okay.
So is it because also it's like the celebration of sort of Torah Shabbat to some extent that we keep it? Like, why don't we have a Yom Tov for, let's say, when Galus Bavel, you know, they're allowed to go back and rebuild the Beis HaMikdash? Why wasn't that made into Yom Tov?
There was no, it was destroyed.
Yeah, but there was like a time of rebuilding. You know, here they also get destroyed, but now they're rebuilding. Like, why Mamash Hanukkah itself was chosen?
I'm still not sure what.
Like again, you mentioned in the beginning, we had a lot of.
No, but that was the side. That was exactly the point. That's the tremendous finish of Hanukkah. That even though it's like Golos Bavel, we don't have a holiday because we went back into Golos afterwards.
Right.
Hanukkah, even though we went back into Golos, we still have a holiday. So that's what I'm saying. That this is because of that illumination aspect of it, which it goes above and beyond just a regular celebration.
So we have Pesach. That's also.
Sorry. Yeah, but that's a Raisa. He's asking why I didn't have a Drabanan holiday for Shivas for Golos Bavel.
So like everything piled up, basically, to make that.
Yeah.
The Rabbanans are supposed to follow the Raisa though, so why?
Well, they do. I mean, in this sense that Purim corresponds to Shavuos and Hanukkah corresponds to Sukkot.
Okay, explain that.
Hanukkah is 8 days, like Sukkot is 8 days. Purim is 1 day, like Shavuos is 1 day. Hanukkah and Sukkot both have this correspondence of, you know, this the Beis HaMikdash. What? Trust in Hashem, but also the Beis HaMikdash aspect. You know, Sukkot was to go. The main mitzvah of lulav is in the Beis HaMikdash, right? Hanukkah is also represents.
By Sukkot, there wasn't a Beis HaMikdash yet, was there?
In the Mishkan, whatever. So it's Machlem Pnei Hashem B'Kechem Shuvas Yomim, and Shavuos is a Matan Torah, and Purim was also a Matan Torah. Hadar Gibur B'Meach Hashperosh.
That was a Matan Torah. How was that Matan Torah?
It says that Chazal accepted the not Chazal. Bnei Yisrael accepted the Torah Ba'ava at the time of Purim.
Oh, so before that.
Before that was from Yira.
Wow, so throughout Jewish history, the Purim was all for a year.
That's right.
Wow, so it's amazing we lasted that long.
It is kind of amazing. It's amazing we last any time at all. Okay.
Thank you, Al.